Start recording. Okay, hi guys, I'm back. Gotta put my headphones in here. I should go see... Well, no, I'm done with the rust wipe. I'm done with this rust wipe. That ship, it can decay. I don't care about it anymore. I have to go to...
$30 billion images, and these have been captured in densely populated cities, particularly around in-game hotspots. So yeah, I basically waffled on quite a while there just to tell you another story of AI did the bad thing again. It stole all your data. Unlucky.
Alice Auma led a resistance against the government with a claim that she was a prophetess.
With me, I'm a prophet.
A 30-year-old mystic, Alice Auma, who claimed to be under the influence of the Lakwena spirit, emerged out of nowhere to form the Holy Spirit movement.
The spirit gave her a directive to create an army that would stop the chaos and bloodshed that was going on in Acholi.
Her army did not use weapons. Instead, they smeared their bodies with shea butter oil that Lakwena said was holy oil and believed the oil would deflate bullets.
Me, even now, the bullet cannot enter through. A lot of people saw this miracle. And they asked, what is happening?
Face to face with the enemy, the bullets did not bounce off their bodies as Lakwena had promised.
I don't fear. I have no fear.
Some people believe that Lakwena was insane, but a clinical psychiatrist concluded that she was sane, seemed intelligent, manipulative, but suffered delusions of grandeur and was obsessed with sex.
Today, I want to talk about Alice Lakwena. To some, she is a prophetess. To others, she is the leader of a guerrilla force of rebels known as the Holy Spirit Mobile Forces. She's a freedom fighter to many people. And, you know, of course, she's also a cult leader in the eyes of some, many people. She did actually lead a rebellion that was, you know, a significant challenge to the president of Uganda at the time. And this was in the 80s, by the way. But there's so much more to the story than that. There's bulletproof butter. There are rules against not having more than 2 or less than 2 testicles. There are many different things that are happening here. It's seriously funny and also serious. It's kind of heartwarming. Hear me out. Hear me out. I don't have my tinfoil hat. I mean, I do, but not right. Whatever. The point is, if you'll pay attention to the last couple of videos I did, it's all over the world. Okay, we're talking United States, Iran, now I'm in Uganda. And there's a unifying thing of humanity that is really comforting. And that is, no matter where you go, you're going to find a cult. And in some weird, you know, fucked up kind of way, that's bringing me comfort. It's the consistency of it, you know? It's like a little bit of stability. So that's all I have for you regarding that. I hope that brings you some kind of comfort. If not, well, sorry, it's up to you to decide what you think. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you what I found. They're facts. And what is the weirdest way I've ever said my intro? I'm going to give you the facts. You decide if she's a cult leader, freedom fighter, whatever. Let's begin, okay? It's gone on for far too long. The whole thing started in 1956 in the Gulu district in northern Uganda, also known as Acholi land because it has a high concentration of the Acholi people. Now, Alice was an Acholi woman, and they're an ethnic group essentially in northern Uganda. Before she was known as Alice Lakwena, she was actually Alice Auma. Lakwena is the name of the spirit that would possess her, but we haven't gotten to that point just yet. Alice's father was actually a self-proclaimed prophet as well, and he also would claim that he predicted that his daughter would be a prophetess. At this point, she's being raised Anglican and she goes to elementary school, but she never finishes or goes past elementary school. After that, she does the traditional thing and ends up getting married, but unfortunately, she was twice married and twice divorced and was not able to have children. And at this time, remember, this is like the 70s and the 80s, this was all a huge stigma. And to top it off, they also like blamed her for not being able to have the kids, like as if she could control that. And so it ended up being this horrible thing. And she felt like she had to leave her hometown and she moved to another town. And then there were all these rumors. They were saying that she was a prostitute and just like all this fucked up shit. Like it was really, really bad. Then she started working as a fishmonger in this other town. Shortly after that, she decides to convert to Catholicism. And then immediately after that, she seems to have suffered this mental slash spiritual breakdown, or you could say breakthrough, because the way she sees it, it was like the best thing that ever happened to her. But other people feel like she actually went insane. And what happened was she stopped talking and then said that she was deaf, or not said, but she was behaving in a manner.
So guys, I had to scoop the litter box and I'm going to go take the trash out. I'll be right back. Clean box, kitty.
That implied that she
Oh, my headphones. Oops. Now I don't know which side is which. So that's left.
couldn't
Okay, sorry
hear
about
and she
that.
couldn't speak, like that she lost the ability to do those two things. But as you'll see later on, she would regain those abilities. So did she really go deaf and mute, or did she just decide to like pretend she couldn't hear people and stop talking? In any case, that happened. Her father was desperately trying to figure out what was wrong with her. He apparently took her to 11 different witches and they couldn't heal her. And then all of a sudden in 1985, some articles say in January, some articles say in May, but it was like early 1985, she has this experience where she claims she is possessed by a spirit called La Quena. And La Quena is an Italian army officer who died and drowned in the Nile River, which is near where they were. And he was a World War I army officer. La Quena also means messenger in Acholi, and some people say that it also means Holy Spirit. And so this Holy Spirit of this Italian army officer possessed her and told her that she needs to go to the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights, like Jesus did. And so she does that. When she returned after 40 days and 40 nights, there was this miracle. She could finally hear and speak again. So it wasn't that she just needed, like a break and then started talking and hearing again. No, 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 it was a miracle. She said that the animals in the wilderness were the ones who helped her survive. And later on, when she does decide to start an army, she will have animals as part of her like battalion. She had spirit battalions of.
This is not Disney. You don't have armies of birds that help you, like get your hair made up and all this stuff. It's not Disney. That shit is fantasy and fucking cartoons for a reason. You're not Alice in Wonderland or I don't know. No, not Alice in Wonderland. What's another one? You're not like Cinderella. The birds aren't going to help you do your hair. It's just not like that. A dog might attack somebody who comes to your house, maybe.
Bees that could turn to bullets, like ants and snakes and stuff like that. But I'm getting ahead of myself. This video is sponsored by June's Journey. Remember June? We go way back. She's back. Okay, and remember I told you she's like on this journey. It's actually really sad. It was a fictional character, so let's start there. And it's a game. But her sister died fictionally, and she's trying to solve her murder. He's from the FBI in the 20s, so he goes, the FBI, I've been tracking Harry's illegal activities for 6 months now, see? Business was going south, and Harry started to get cold feet. Basically, this game, it's a hidden objects game. Oh, there's a croissant. Croissant! Oh, right now I'm ranked 14. I'm Noor Jasmine, by the way, and I changed my avatar because I can do that. I like building my island. I really do. Like that, I'm always like trying to get back to the island and putting stuff on there. Okay, so here's my island. And basically, I did these hedges myself. I like the hedges I chose. And here what I have is my fabulous fromage. Also, June's Journey is expanding its universe, guys. They're coming out with a novel. It's called Death Wasn't Invited, and it's by best-selling author Carleen O'Connor. The plot is this. It's Paris. It's 1922. June's close friend, Jack, or is it Jacques? He's being framed for murder. Oh no. And so she's now trying to find the real killer to clear his name. Or maybe he really did do it. So if you're interested, don't forget to click the link in the description, or you can also use the QR code to download June's Journey, the game, and also you can
actually play these games. They must be like bored 22-year-olds who just don't know not to play bad games, I guess. I don't know.
Order the novel. Thank you so much to June's Journey for supporting my channel. Again, I really do appreciate it. And back to the video. Once she reemerged as this possessed messenger, she then started to work as a spiritual healer in Gulu.
They say that you wait for her at midnight.
Some people got her healing touch.
The first miracle, even me personally, because I was not even able to talk, but at the moment I can speak well.
The way that she would heal people was that she would have these small clay figurines that she would treat people's illnesses by proxy through the figurines. So almost like, not exactly like a voodoo doll, but kind of, you know how like you can hurt the doll and then it'll hurt the person. It was kind of like that, where that figurine would be like a representation of the sick person, and then she'd heal the figurine, which would therefore heal the person. And so she worked like that as a healer in that town. But what was going on at that time was a war, okay? There was the Ugandan Bush War that was happening while she was working as this healer in Gulu. And at the time, the regime and the army were made up largely of the Acholi people. And remember, Alice is an Acholi woman. Now, the leader of Uganda at the time was Tito Okello, and he was an Acholi man. So it's like, this is the Acholi like stronghold, you could say. Now, though, there's this war that's happening where there is a new guy from the south who is not Acholi, who's trying to take over with his army, okay? And his name is Yoweri Museveni, and his army was called the NRA, the National Resistance Army. You have this Ugandan Bush War that was going on from 1981 to 1986. And then in January of 1986, Museveni takes over with his National Resistance Army. And so Tito is overthrown, the military is disbanded, and there's a new army in town now. And so all the Acholi people in the north are now very afraid because they're like, uh-oh, they're going to come for us now. Several months after the government is overthrown is when Alice gets a message from the spirit Lakwena. And the spirit tells her, you need to stop healing and start fighting. Lakwena told her to create this army that would be known as the Holy Spirit Mobile Forces, which was part of the Holy Spirit movement. The goal of the Holy Spirit movement was to fight evil and the bloodshed that was going on, also to avenge the Acholi people for the atrocities they suffered, and also to retake Kampala, the capital of Uganda. She said, quote, the good Lord who had sent the Lakwena decided to change his work from that of a doctor to that of a military commander for one simple reason. It is useless to cure a man today only that he be killed the next. So it became an obligation on his part to stop the bloodshed before continuing his work as a doctor. Now, the Holy Spirit movement, they had Holy Spirit commandments. Instead of 10 commandments, there were 20 commandments, and I would like to read them to you. By the way, these weren't the only rules. There are more rules, which are crazy, allegedly, opinionally. That's a new whatever, shut up. Let me just read you the 20 commandments. Holy Spirit commandments, number 1, thou shalt not have any other God but me, which is referring to Lakwena, the spirit who possessed Alice. Thou shalt not kill. Obviously, they're in the military and they kill people. So what she's talking about here is innocent people or other Acholi people, but not the enemy, obviously. You can kill them. Thou shalt not steal. There are some villages who said that they, well, I mean, depends on if you call uprooting the cassava roots from the ground that the villagers had like planted and grown. They took those. So I don't know if you would call stealing that stealing, but again, these are not innocents in their eyes. There's a lot of rules that are being broken, but let me carry on. Number 4, thou shalt not commit adultery or look at a woman with desire. Thou shalt not smoke cigarettes. Thou shalt not drink alcohol. Thou shalt not eat fatty foods or pork. Thou shalt not carry any charms or traditional medicines. However, she did have sort of these magic stones, well, literally sticks and stones, that she said would not only break bones and hurt you, but they would turn into grenades. And so that's what they used, some of the weaponry. This one is a very controversial one, okay? This is, thou shalt not take cover. Now, the reason why this is controversial is because during a war, if you don't take cover, you know, you're gonna die, most likely. And that's what happened, like a lot. And we're talking thousands of people died. She said that if you slather yourself with shea butter, then the bullets, they can't harm you. She did have a little bit of a loophole there saying if you were, you know, pure-hearted and not evil, it would work. But let's say, you know, the bullets penetrated the oil or butter, it was because you were evil, not because it's a fucking moisturizer. You know what I'm saying? So this is why she also had this, thou shalt not take cover, because if you're pure-hearted and you've got the shea butter on, you're fine. The bullet it's gonna turn around and it's gonna go the other way, or even if it does try to touch your skin, it's gonna slide off or something. It just can't penetrate you. So you don't need to take cover. As long as you follow her rules and you're pure-hearted, you're gonna be fine. Okay? So when they didn't take cover and they died, what do you think she said? Okay? She said they were evil. So this is also gonna be part of the a reason why there was a bit of a downfall happening is that, you know, she kind of turned on her own people when they died because the moisturizer didn't save their life. Another one is thou shalt not walk on the grass, thou shalt not kill a snake. So this is the other thing, is that she believed in her journey, right, that the animals were protecting her. And so she believed as well that the animals were going to help them fight in the war. So you were not allowed to kill any animals or anything like that because these animals were your comrades. Any type of grouping of animals that would be near them, she would say, this is my spirit battalion of, you know, ants, for example, or whatever. Also, there were other objects in nature that she claimed were fighting the war with her, such as trees and rocks and such. So I don't know. I feel like she really did have sort of a mental breakdown due to, honestly, it's kind of sad, but I feel like she probably got shunned really bad for being a woman who was twice divorced without any children, and like all these rumors they were spreading about her being a prostitute. I think that like she just like straight up had a mental breakdown and sort of parlayed it into a goddamn army, which is like low-key, high-key impressive, but also tragic. That's just my opinion. So moving on. Commandment number 12, thou shalt not keep any money on your person during battle, because money was seen as like low frequency, like a corrupting frequency is what she said. And so if you had any type of money on you during battle, that was not good. So they would have to like relinquish the money during battle, and then oops, wow, if they died because they didn't have any protection and they were just using moisturizer and sticks and stones, I guess whoever was holding the money could probably just keep it. There were additional rules, and one of these rules literally said, this is according to an article in The Economist, okay, that a fighter must, quote, have 2 testicles, neither more nor less. Okay, so I can understand having 1 testicle.
Yeah, but
You know, sometimes one of them goes up, or maybe you lose one in battle or something. Maybe you're just born with one. But I'm not aware of a tri-testicle individual. But you know, I'm not a doctor. So listen, if I had an army and then there was someone who had a tri-testicle, to me, I'm like, this is good. This is like, right, more testosterone, more aggression, right? They've got more balls, literally. So unless it's a balance thing, the 1 and the 3, maybe the 2 keeps your center of gravity balanced. I don't know. Why am I trying to rationalize this? So anyway, so no uniball, no triball. And then you had to sing during battle. That's pretty chill. That's the thing that they were talking about when they were saying that in the initial battles with the army that took over, they won. People speculate that they won just because of pure shock from the other side. Because imagine you have this army of tens of thousands of people that are slathered in moisturizer, shea butter, wearing white robes and singing with only sticks and stones, and they're barefoot. You might think this is a pilgrimage or something at this point. You're like, oh, they're just passing through. And then the next thing you know, this mob is attacking you. So I really think that they didn't realize that these people were actually like trying to attack them until it was too late. And then, you know, we'll get into what happened when the tides turned. In the Ancholi spirit messenger culture, because the way that the religion is in that group, that is a common thing that happens where they combine this African spiritualist religion, the one that they had before Christianity came, and they sort of mix it with Christianity to make it work for them, right? And so this concept of spiritual messaging or having a prophet or whatever, it's not like the craziest thing, it's common. But in the Acholi tradition, it's always like one spirit. Like you'll have one particular spirit that speaks through you, and that is how it is. But with Alice, of course, she broke with tradition, and she had many different spirits that would possess her. And so these are some of the ones. So the chief commander was Lakwena, and together these different spirits, by the way, they were like the top brass of this battalion. Then there was also Wrong Element, who was an American engineer who she channeled or was possessed by. Also, there was Franco from Zaire, who was responsible for intelligence. Then there was Ching Po, who was a Chinese lieutenant who handled the stones that would explode like grenades. And then there was Mariam, who was a Korean doctor, and also Islamic fighting spirits generally that she would channel. Together, she had this sort of literally one-woman multi-spirit army. So now it's 1986 and she initiates her first 150 soldiers, and these were basically ex-soldiers from...
So, I won't speak disrespectfully about my stepfather because he has given me everything I own essentially, or well, everything I'm gonna own. But he was an angel healer, and there's nothing negative about what he did. And people really liked what he did. But I just don't believe in angels, you know. And he would channel them. Sometimes there's 2 or 3 people on the phone. And while it's not my thing, I think, well, I mean, who cares if they, as long as they don't harm people, then this lady harmed people. But I'm talking about like religion or like, I don't know, like conspirituality or like conspiracy circles and stuff. I don't really think they're very harmful if they don't do anything harmful. They're just groups of people. I don't relate to what my stepfather did for a living, but he did it successfully for 30 years. Before that, he was a Boeing engineer for Boeing out here in Washington. And then before that, he was a photographer, and he was he was in the Vietnam War, and he was in Iraq too. And he went back and took pictures. You know, he took a lot of pictures. He was good at photography. He had a lot of cameras. Excuse me. We had to donate his cameras because I was not able to use any of them or anything, and it was just like, why sit here and gather dust when other people who like cameras can enjoy these? And my mother is actually a photographer, but she's owned expensive cameras. But she's not like an well, if she were to be an avid photographer, she would use her phone. And I'm the same. If I take pictures, but I'm not a photographer, and I don't care about that. I don't take pictures of myself. I don't care. And to each their own. If you're an angel healer and you help people, like I would say that my stepfather was a spiritual guru who meant a lot to a lot of people, and he worked with a company in Los Angeles called Humanity Unites Brilliance, which is called Hub. It's like a celebrity church run by a famous priest named famous reverend named Reverend Michael. And my stepfather Jerry, he was in that community. And they're like the most successful spiritualists in the world. They have celebrity interest and money, and they have what's called the Agape Church. I've been there before, and I've met some of these people. I've met Reverend Michael, and it's interesting, you know. But spirituality is not my thing. I'm a very grounded person. I believe in drugs and love, and poetry and music. And the liberal arts and writing and such. I don't literature. I don't really believe in spiritual stuff. I don't know. Believe. I don't subscribe. Whatever you want to call it. I don't put a lot of faith in spiritual stuff into political and literal for that. And until God comes down from the clouds, my answer is I don't know. I'm agnostic. You know, I don't doubt that God exists. Or that God isn't this crazy good force for many, many humans on the planet. I don't doubt that. I'm just saying until I see it, I don't believe it. You know, I find that most spiritual people I can get along with. I don't judge them. I don't ever say that what they believe in isn't good or anything like that. I believe in magic, and I really do believe in magic. I've seen magic. enough to know. I've cast magic before and had terrible problems. I've steered my cat around with my mind and shit like this. I've done stuff that I consider to be essentially magic. And I don't, I've seen stuff, I've seen friends of mine's prophecies come true. Ooh, the HDR is messing up on this cord. Back and that the HDR is messing up on this cord.
The government that was overthrown. These 150 members become the first members of the Holy Spirit mobile.
I think I want to return the cord I bought because the HDR keeps flashing in and out, and I don't think that's really acceptable for an HDMI. This cord is really sensitive. If you jostle it at all, like totally loses it. And I think it's if it gets me killed in hardcore, that'll make me so fucking bad. The only reason I'm not freaked out about it is like I can see my screen on OBS no matter what, and I probably won't lose the hardcore character based off that. But I mean, like, the fucking television screen keeps popping in and out with HDR because of auto HDR. Maybe I should just turn auto HDR off. It seems to be kind of messing up. Let's go see. It might be this old WoW client too. What is that? That's display. Yeah, you know, moving to 4K was really nice. I didn't expect, you know, honestly, I thought it was going to be really fucking slow. I thought, you know, honestly, I got to say, I love moving to 4K. That was actually such a trip. Out of nowhere, suddenly, my fucking my cord, my computer, my TV suddenly decided that it wanted to do 4K finally. Because, and I was very disappointed the day I bought it. It like, the best it would do is 2K. It would do 2K at you know 300 FPS, but it wouldn't do 4K. It just wouldn't do. I'm sorry, wouldn't do 4K beyond 60 FPS for the first 4 years that I had this monitor. And then one day after a reformat, I replugged again, and it was suddenly like you can have 4K. I like 4K, and it's supposed to be in 4K. You know, I went 4 years without it. I thought it was going to be slow when it didn't happen. I thought it was going to be a tech that kind of didn't happen right away, where I was like, okay, I'll go from 2K to, which is, you know, 1080p, to 4K, to 1440p, which is 2560 by 1440. And I thought eventually, after a couple more years, I'd finally go to, you know, 4K in 5 years. But no, as you can see, I made the jump to 4K this fucking year. I really did think it was going to be like another 4 to 5 years. Now, I don't know how well 4K is going to do doing games like Grand Theft Auto 6 on my drive. And I'll probably play like Grand Theft Auto 6 and WoW, basically, just because it's like... Yeah, like a big change is coming this year when GTA 6 hits, because I'll be in that for probably like 6 months or something crazy. Or if I don't just full-blown become a GTA 6, you know, player. But I don't know. I don't know how good the game's going to be. I don't know if they're going to embrace the RP of it. Like, they see an opportunity to turn to kind of Minecraft their Grand Theft Auto, and I really don't see why not. Their world is good enough. It's got good physics, and it's great. It's a great engine. It's good.
Forces and the initiation.
I don't judge these people for what they believe. It's when they become bad actors that I dislike them. My stepfather was never a bad actor. None of these other spiritualists that I know have ever been bad actors. So I just sit there and I'm like, you know, Swami. I respect Swami or whatever. I respect Reverend Michael. I respected Sri Kaleshwar. I respected their jobs aren't something I would ever do. But that's as negative as I care to be. Not my business, not my job, not my life. More power to him, you know? My stepfather, he would make up to $500 an hour, you know, charging people for angel healings and then channeling to solve the problems. And those people, they came back, you know. To his credit, you would think if he was some kind of snake oil salesman that there would be these people threatening us or whatever, or that there would be like some kind of problem or something. But no, everybody that my stepfather dealt with, they came back for repeat sessions because they were seeing positive stuff change in their lives. Sometimes I think, well, that must just be that he's a kind, loving man, or was a kind, loving man who took care of their feelings and cherished them. He was a very nice man to talk to on the phone, and you know, he's a great guy. You know, had a good heart. I really respected him. You know, I have a video of Jerry. I think I've got a video of Jerry. He wasn't on the camera, so you know, I guess it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I was trying to show people what he looked like. But the only reason I bring it up is it's just like weird, because I don't subscribe to what these people believe doesn't make it bad. And you'd be surprised how much I'm willing to believe. Like, I think there's aliens on the backside of the moon. I've seen the obelisks and the fucking towers and shit back there. I've seen crazy alien battles in space and stuff that absolutely could not have been photoshopped. It just couldn't have been. You can see it. It would have taken more money and time and effort than Hollywood could have done to show some of the space battles I've seen. And on top of it, I'm going to say something else that's even scarier. The space battles that I've seen, just videos on YouTube and shit, like a couple of the videos that I saw, it was like there was like an alien race of intelligent humanoids flying ships, and they were fighting basically what I would call buggers. Like the other thing fighting them were like these crazy little organisms that were like the size of F-15 jets. And I swear to God, that shit was not fucking, and also the video's old. It's old from like the 70s and shit too. That particular video was very old. It was like from the 70s and shit. And it showed an intergalactic war battle between some kind of nutty alien fucking like spacefaring race that lives out there in the stars and shit. And then I don't know how they were doing it, but they were alive out there in the vacuum. And then there was like some other humanoid race that ran like these tri-ships that buzzed around and shot at them. And they were killing each other like a giant fucking battle. And it was like these crazy shapes fuzzing around, little white dots and stuff, fighting. Then Hollywood couldn't have created this. This was an intergalactic battle. I've seen an intergalactic battle. There was just a video that one of my best friends, who's dead now, showed me. He's dead now. Of suicide and murder. And I mean, he killed his father and then himself a second later, but he showed me a video like way back in 2004 or something like that of a cosmic battle. He showed me the fucking obelisks on the backside of the fucking moon, and I'm like, this isn't Photoshop. And he's like, no, it absolutely couldn't be. It's so much stuff from such a large grand scale that you would need like some kind of crazy Hollywood production studio on the moon working full-time for decades and stuff. The amount of shit I've seen aliens jump out from the back of stop signs and stuff. And that's just the alien shit. I think, I think aliens do exist. The likelihood that we're the only life forms in all of existence is basically zero. It's like zero. So whatever, until I see it, who knows, is my thing. We never see it, so I'm just like, okay, well, YouTube, I don't know. So, I don't know. There's one that still irks me. These kids were playing soccer in Mexico, and this fucking alien steps out from behind a stop sign, and I'll never forget, because it was like a crazy fucking slender stick man that jumped out from behind a stop sign, and the kids screamed and cried in bloody murder and fucking ran for their lives, and it wasn't an act. The kids saw it, they screamed and ran. It was real. And the real problem is the stop sign, and I'll describe it because you can't find this video anymore, but I'll show you in paint what it was, and it's still, I still don't understand what I saw that day. It was some kind of illusion, or it could have been an alien, or it might have been some kind of cloak, but these kids were like playing, like here's little kids playing fucking soccer and stuff, and they're like kicking, there's like a stop sign right here. There's the stop sign, right, stop. In Mexico, and there's like, you know, there's like these Mexican names on the for the roads underneath the stop sign and stuff, and it's a very, very normal stop sign with, like, you know, one of those metal poles with the holes that they punch in the metal. They like perforate the metal for some reason, so that's what these dots are. They're like, you know, there's the holes in the stop sign, right? And this crazy demon alien steps out. They're just kicking balls around in the street and stuff. And this crazy fucking Slender Man, it was a Slender Man or whatever the fuck you want to call it. It was some crazy stick alien. And it steps out from behind the stop sign pole. Like it's like using it as some kind of 3D cloak. And I can't even draw the alien. It was just so crazy. When it comes out, you're like, wait, that doesn't work because... like, you know, but because like his whole body steps out from behind the stop sign pole, but the stop sign pole, you know, was like an inch, you know, so this full humanoid alien being steps out from behind a stop sign pole, and all my friends saw that too. All my friends, like, I can bring up the stop sign whenever I see them, and they're like, yeah, what was that, man? What was that? Because you see it and you're like, this is not Photoshop. There's no human that would ever think of doing this. It's kind of crazy. When you see it, you're like, no, I don't know what I just saw, but it's fucking crazy, and it makes you doubt your own senses. It's so annoying. And so yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff that makes me agnostic and crazy. When I'm in love, I believe in God, but, you know, spirituality has always been something that I feel I'm grounded in, and I got no issues with God, I don't think. You know, I could burn in hell for all the times I've stolen stuff, but I've never committed, like, a mortal sin or something like that, so I don't know, whatever. I don't want judgment from some deity. I don't care about that. I'm not interested in it, and I don't need it. So, like, you know, spiritualists, they can do what they want to do. You know, I don't care, but I think about it all the time. Everything that I'm going to inherit, which is like, well, my mother's part of it. I'm going to inherit some stuff from my mother, and I'm going to inherit some stuff from my stepfather. Well, now it's my mother, because my stepfather's passed, and now my mother has possession of all of it. But when she passes, it'll be, I own my own house, and it was worth like $30,000, you know, this fifth wheel, when we bought it for used. And it was like about 10 years old too. But it's still a really nice fifth wheel. It's beautiful and it's clean and it's done well. And, you know, so I own that, and I can always drag that off somewhere else, but I only have like $3,000. I don't think I could even afford to move, much less, you know, I've got like $3,000 to my fucking name, and that's all. And that took me 3 years to save. I've got nothing, you know. So I could probably pack this place. I could probably pay a moving company like $1,500 to pack this thing up and move it. Or not move it, but connect it to a truck so I can drive it off somewhere. And I would bring it back to Denver, and I would take my stipend that I get every month for disability, and I would use that to pay lot fees on some place and the power and the water, which would be stupid because I have water out here where I live. I should probably just stay here, I think. But I've been thinking about just selling this place for like $1 million because people are interested in this fucking place. It's crazy. And just, you know, and just connect my fifth wheel to the back of a truck and drag it to Denver, and then park it somewhere in the city that I want to live in. But I don't really see the difference between that and what I'm doing right now here in Washington. So I'm just like, I don't know. And so when both of my parents have passed of the inevitable passage of time, whatever it is that happens, and I don't want it to happen. I'm hoping that my mom is one of those that lasts till 108 or whatever, and she holds on like that. She goes to the doctor. She battles mortality. She really wants to live forever. It's insane. It's something that I think it's her most burning desire, is to live forever. So she has fairly good health, and her body's failing. She's had 2 arm replacements. She's got a lump in her arm that's got to be removed now. She just got her gallbladder out. She's, you know, sick. And In the end, I'll inherit this place, and I think about it all the time. My stepfather, he worked at Boeing, and he used that money to buy this place for like $175,000 way back in 1992 or something like that. And it's now worth like $1 million, and I never would have had something like that if it wasn't for my stepfather and his angel healing. And I think, in a way, understanding that even if I don't believe in it and I don't put faith in it, that didn't change the fact that the largesse was real. The appreciation of what he did was real. The people came back repeatedly for $100 to $200 sessions. He must have done 10,000 of them or something like that. It's just crazy. He did so many. Every day for many months, over years and years. He was just outside in the back in some chair, just talking to somebody on the fucking phone at $100 to $200 an hour. And I never disturbed him. We all knew what he was doing. My mom was his secretary. He was doing well. You could call him almost a cult leader, but he never ever was in any of his people's lives. His entirety of his business was conducted over phone. He would meet them in real life if he was close, if they were like, you know, locals. But he was not, you know, he was an international, global spiritual healer. And he would fly to California to do Hub and you know, the Agape Church quite a lot. He was a Toastmasters guy. He was a revered guy at Toastmasters. When he passed, all the local Toastmasters people, and those are the TED Talks geniuses and stuff, all the Toastmasters people came to his funeral. And it was crazy. I was around, I hadn't been around intellectual equals in a while, you know, but they were like intellectual equals, the kind of people that would have gone to my private school and stuff, and it was amazing to meet them. And it was cool. It was like going to a TED Talks or something. All the fucking crazy people that showed up at my stepfather's funeral was just fucking crazy. And he was a successful angel healer, and he had many thousands of clients all over the world. He I think his most famous client is, well, I can't say it. It's unfair to her. Never mind. But anyways, so, you know, and so I think about that. I'm like, you know, I never show that for myself. I would normally warn people away from it. I would be like, it's snake oil. It's something greater than yourself, and I think that's foolhardy or whatever, right? But that doesn't change the fact that there was abundance based around what my stepfather did for angel healing. When he passed, he left behind like 5 mediums that he had been using for like 20 years and stuff. And one of them just took over the business, which to me is like another snake oil salesman came in and essentially just took up the grift or whatever. Which, and I don't mean that to be insulting to my stepfather. I really don't. It was just kind of like, he knows that I'm an agnostic to full-blown like atheistic guy. So angels are, and we don't, you know, we had our differences, but he was like, well, to each their own. You know, he was not a hateful person. He doesn't care what people's beliefs are. And I like that about him. He didn't push it. He wasn't like, are you God-fearing man or any of that stuff ever. He was never, I don't think he was a God-fearing man. I think he believed in angels. I don't think he believed in God at all. I think he believed in angels, which is, you know, I wish I had asked him that on the interview. I think I might have. I was like, do you believe in God? And he's like, yes, I do. But you know, the angels are who speak. The angels are God's lips. I was like, oh, that's cool, you know. And on the back of my hipster douchebag raised in West Denver mind, that's, you know, it's a snake oil salesman. It's somebody who's taking advantage of people. It's a Bible salesman in a way, you know, that they say about Bible salesmen. But the problem is, he never pushed any sort of Christian ideals on anybody. They all came willingly and were desperate for that help. They all came back for many, many, many more appointments and were very happy with what happened in their lives after he talked to them. Who am I to judge? I feel it's weird that all of that money that he got, well, not money, but over his life, he spent his money. He wasn't somebody to keep money around. He was always off on some other like passion of his, like from photography to gardening to barrels and endless gardening and like he was fixing up old trailers so he could help his friends and stuff like that. And you know, there's all the stuff that he had passions about and that he was doing, which I really like. It must be nice to have money. I would do stuff like that too. So, And it's weird that all that largesse that the angel community showed him, that because he was essentially like saving their souls in some way, all that money went to a non-believer. And that's the sort of shit that makes me a non-believer. It's kind of funny. It's like, you know, God has a very silly sense of humor, however you look at it. God don't make no mistakes or whatever, and I don't believe in God, but it's like, you know, it's this force that you can't deny exists in the human lexicon. So I don't try and bring it down or, you know, talk shit about it. I'm just like, oh, it's and God works in mysterious ways or whatever. It's so odd that somebody who made all of his money for the last 20 years on angel healing, passing on everything he owns essentially to his wife and then eventually to his stepson, which is, you know, who is a non-believer. And that's weird that it should work out that way. I'm sure his brother probably doesn't like it. I'm sure, like, they like me, but they don't like that I wasn't one of their conspiritualist scene. And you know, he was a very, 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 very avid conspiracy theorist, my stepfather. And I remember towards the end of his life, I tried to convince him to stop doing that. And how I did it was this, and I'll say what I said to him to you. It's been 72 fucking years since JFK got fucking murdered or something like that. It was in 1963. What's that? That's 40. Didn't think about that. That's 37 plus 26 is 37 plus 26 would be 63, I think. Yeah, I believe that is 60. 37 and 23 is 63. It is 37 plus 23. 37 plus 23 is, yeah, it's 60 years. It's, so yeah, sorry, I think 63. I thought 13 for some. No, it was. Yeah, 63 is when they killed Kennedy. That would be 37 years plus 26. 37 plus 26. Excuse me for just a second. So, now, 37 plus 26 was 63. I was right in the first place. I didn't need the calculator. But anyways, and so I told my stepfather, I was like, what's that? And I used to do the math with him. I would be like, when did they kill Kennedy? And he'd be like, oh, 63. And I'd be like, well, okay, that's, 63 years. Yeah. So, and I said to him just this year, I said, I can't do conspiracy theory anymore. It forces me to live in fear all of my life, and I don't like living in fear. I don't like what living in fear of my government has done to my life. I would rather just forget that they exist and move on with my life. And he was like, you know, that's very fair. And I was like, the real thing is, Jerry, and I told him, I was like, I can't do conspiracy theory anymore. I loved the Octopus Murders on Netflix because it gave me the closure I needed to never pay attention to this shit ever again, which was that they killed Danny Casolaro. They got away with it. They've been doing it for a long fucking time. Nothing ever happens, right? And it took me until the Octopus Murders before I knew that. And then when I discovered that no matter what, we were never going to do anything about Danny Casolaro, I began to understand that it doesn't matter what drums you beat in the conspiracy theory circles or whatever. It doesn't matter, right? 60 years have gone by since JFK, and we haven't done shit. We still have no fucking idea what happened. 60 years have gone by. It's a complete bonehead mystery. We have no fucking idea what the fuck happened, and that leaves us boneheaded. We have no clue. We're like some kind of assassination. We don't know who did it. We think it's fucking like Lee Harvey Oswald, but every bit of evidence would point it wasn't. It's just sort of crazy. So I told him, I was like, so it's been 60 years and he thinks about it. And I watched him just go silent, and he was really annoyed by this. And I was like, it's been 60 years. That was the worst one. That was the worst one. The JFK killing. And he was like, it was. And I was like, yes, it was the worst one. The JFK was the worst one. It's still been 60 years and we haven't done shit. They released the files even this year. We haven't done shit. And that's why I can't fucking stay in this conspiracy theory scene anymore or ever subscribe to it again or ever talk shit. I'll tell you what I believe, but I'm not going to go beat the drums telling people they've got to do something or form a community or go talk about it trying to make money or something like that. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing that shit. I'm just moving on the assumption that they capped JFK. They fucking murdered Danny Casolaro. They've been running fucking cables under the water, and they're spying on each other with the cables, and they sell children with Jeffrey to foreign dignitaries to get them in non-disclosure agreements and blackmail and stuff. And I don't care. I don't know how knowing all of that stops any of it. I don't know how knowing what happened with JFK stops what happened with JFK. And that's the problem. And so once you realize that 60 years go by and still nothing ever happens. And I was very adamant about it. I was like, tell me I'm wrong. And I was like, look at Martin Luther King. What happened? He was like, I don't know. I was like, nothing ever happens. You know, like, it's just weird. It just went on. I was like, look at 9/11. What happened? He was like, I don't know. And I was like, nothing ever happens. Now it's been 25 years since that shit happened. 26 years, 25 years. Now it's been 25 years since 9/11. We still don't know what happened there either. And it's just like at that point, when decades and decades and decades of your finite 100-year life go by, for me it's 40, four decades, but it's 40 years for me. It's like 4 fucking decades, right? It's, oops, did I do something? No. I just don't want to think about that shit anymore. Knowing all about it and freaking out about it was not beneficial to me, not after 40 years. No. It did not serve me. Living in fear didn't serve me. I woke up one day and I realized that the government didn't love me, and and that's what I consider woke to be. But the government pays my bills. The government is paying my bills. I'm on disability. I need disability. I love the government for giving me disability, but I don't trust the government because they do stuff like Standing Rock and bomb schools full of little girls in Iran. So I don't trust the government, but I understand that my livelihood is given to me by the government, and that was their idea. That was their doctor that suggested it. I was like, okay. Most times I wouldn't do shit with the G. I hate the G. So they bought my love. Now I will never activate against them ever. They've been my bills for so many years that I'll just never actively work against them. And they bought my love. You know, it's shitty. It's negative. It's transactional. It's like Donald Trump kind of. But it's, but it is like, I don't know how else to say it. I love the government. I hate that money makes me say these things. But money makes me say these things.
Ceremony.
So I think, like, these cult leaders, as long as they don't rape kids, or rape people, or fucking kill people, or make people disappear, and they're not super pushy about their cults. Like I have my best friend, he runs an ashram in Denver that's exactly like that. They're not pushy. They don't care who shows. They don't care if you're there or not. They're just there to train transcendental meditation and Sanskrit and and chant. And they're just not they're not harming anybody. They don't do anything. They're like and that I've always loved that. I love that people like that exist in the world, that are trying to get spiritually balanced. It's not me, babe, but it ain't me, babe. But it's really, really heartening to me that those people are there, and I get along with them very, very well. And I'm about to drink from the cup that is not about to, but in the next like 20 years, I will drink like from the cup of my parents' wealth, and that's there because of their strong spirituality. In a way, it's a strong spiritual lesson for me without it being this thing that forces me into anything far too agnostic. And that's what I think of when I think of cult leaders, is if they didn't rape children all the time, if they didn't go against the government, stack up M16s like Ruby Ridge and stuff, I don't know if cults are that bad. Cults are bad, they're bad, especially the tithing aspect of it. But they're, but I don't know. I don't know if tight-knit community circles are that bad. I don't know. I think sometimes people are so fucking lost that it's honestly better if they're in the cult, because at least the cult they're not going to be alone. I swear to God, that's how fucking bad it is. We all hate and loathe and hate each other so much that it's literally like sometimes better, I think, for some humans that they're just in a cult. You know, even if it is like Scientology or whatever, or Mormon Church or LDS. Like, I think it's, you know, I think it's sometimes better. I think these people are so prone to loneliness that they do need some kind of spiritual charge. And I think this is how their dating circles work, and I think this is how their job circles work. And I don't begrudge them this. What I begrudge them is when FLDS starts raping a bunch of children. Why are they all bad actors? I don't think tight-knit communities are particularly bad. I can't think of the difference except for the murder and the fucking child rape between the FLDS and, I'd say, what? The Steelworkers of America, you know? Or whatever. I see a difference. It's just a tight-knit community. They come together for some shared interest or something. They look out for each other, they date each other, and become fruitful and progenerative or whatever. And they're good human beings in general, but the cult itself might compromise them. And the leader's never good. But I kind of wish sometimes that I think the Asian culture is like this. They are always entirely inclusive. They do not ever leave anybody out. They don't ever do that. I wouldn't say China does it. I wouldn't say Japan does it. I wouldn't say that's a weird social stigma there to just leave some wallflower in the corner to never ever talk to anybody. I think that's a weird stigma there. I don't think you're allowed to do that. I'm sure Mori, who are scared to leave the house, but I also think that like their cultures are socially strong and don't promote like loner behavior. Now, I'm a loner. I shouldn't talk about this, but I wasn't my entire life. I am now because I've retired and I'm mid-40s and stuff. But I at any given time of day had 15 to 20 people around me at any given time until I was 39 years old. I'm talking in the same house, in the same room. I was surrounded by people all of my goddamn life. I cherish being alone right now. I cherish being able to talk like this and not have somebody in the room lecture me for being too fucking loud because I got a loud ass voice, you know? I don't care. I gotta turn my sound up. I didn't realize I turned it down. There we go. Check. Plus, it's affecting my microphone. I'm not loud enough, am I? I'm sorry. Stupid ass Windows changed my microphone again. Go to sound. You did. You changed my microphone again. I thought I fixed this. No. I don't want you to let anything change the settings of this stupid ass thing. Like, I don't. I want you to come into properties. I want you to tell it that nothing, it doesn't. Is it the signal enhance? Check. God damn it. I'm sorry, guys. I fixed it. I didn't know. Whatever. I don't think it really matters. You know? Spirituality is something that is a driving force of good in our lives, but I've never been one to do it. So to take pretty much all of the proceeds of an angel healing community, it goes directly into my pocket. It's a trip. It's a mind blow. It's like, you know, I at one time I think I had 2 angel healing appointments with him. I've had 2 meetings with him. I've had two phone calls where he tried to get me to believe in getting an angel healing. And while my life did get better, I don't think that was him. I think that was getting sober and finally hitting rock bottom and getting out of the system and doing all the probation stuff to the last T perfectly to get out of it and just be done with it. I don't think that was some outside influence, but I'm about to inherit all of the profit of his endeavor. And it's been a trip for me. I could sell it and I would be a millionaire. I could probably get like 700 grand something. I wouldn't be a millionaire, but I would be close to it. And that, I don't know, you know, that to me is worthless, because what can you do? You can't go buy another house. They're all too expensive. So why sell? The value of the house doesn't mean anything to me, because I'm just like, why would I ever sell? I can't buy anything. I can't afford whatever it is I would buy, I don't think. I think sometimes, like, can't I just buy a permanent lot on some Denver, like, okay, in my lifetime, I know when I'm gonna do it too. Like, okay, so a week after my mother's funeral, eventual funeral, like inevitable funeral, I will call up like a couple of trailer parks in Denver, and I'll be like, hi, I'm looking for a salesman that'll give me 5 minutes of their day to talk to me about potentially maybe buying like a lifelong lot, or is that possible? How do you do that? I need a lot for about 30 years, and you know, because at that point I'll probably be about 60, and I'll tell them like, I need a lot for probably a max of 50 years, but I do need a lot for like 50 years in Denver, where I can go to the coffee shop that I grew up at and be around the friends that I grew up with and the people that I love, and the places that I love and know. I don't live at home. I live in some crazy foreign place that I still think of as Short Busland, and I don't really want to live in Short Busland, so I want to sell this place because it's more upkeep than I want to do. No, and I think I don't want to sell this place. You want to know why? I think the real diamonds is water. And I think that's how the rich are going to actually like wipe out the poor, is they're going to charge too much for water the way they charge too much for gas, you know? Eventually it's $5 for a gallon of water, right? And if that ever is the reality, I have a well, which means endless money. So I don't think I'll ever sell this place. I think I'm stuck here. But that thought, being stuck here, it bothers me. It sticks in my craw all the time. I think I'm stuck here in a place I didn't grow up, with people that I don't know, that I do have some reservations about making new relationships with, because it's like, do I know if I'll be here? I don't know if I'll be here. I don't know if I'll be here in 20 or 30 years. I need to accept it, but I don't know. I just don't know. So now I think like there's like two options. I stay here and I just sell the water, and I think I probably could do. I could probably bottle the damn water myself. It's probably not that hard. I could go sell bricks of it for like, I sell, like, I could be like, there's a brick in my front lawn. You have to haul it away. I filled it, you know, but you have to haul it away. Come on up here and buy the brick. It's $25,000. And they're like, oh my God, it's 140 gallons. And you're like, yeah, it's 140 gallons. They're $1,000 a piece, or no, sorry, they're $5 a piece. It's 140 gallons. You can take it for you know what, $1,000, right? And I sell one of those every couple of weeks or something. And I just fill another cube. I go out there for an hour and I get high or whatever, and I just fill the cube out of my well, and then I put the cube out, and I take it like on a forklift or something, and I take the cube out to the front lawn, or to the front the front driveway, and I sell cubes of water for a lot of money, because I think that's where this is going. I think the rich people are going to try and starve us to death. And I think the gas, like how the gasoline is $5 a gallon now, I think the water will be $5 a gallon, and if we don't stop it, it'll just crush the world. So, you know, and then and a man with a well is king. Sometimes I think, would I be able to protect the well? Would somebody come and take my... Would somebody come and kill me for my well? Can I do that alone? And I think, no, I can't protect myself alone. If some posse shows up here from either the pigs or the bandits, what can I do? I'm alone. I can't fight a group of people. I'm alone. I can't pull a Rambo. I've never trained to do something like that. I can't Rambo them. You know, I can maybe set up traps and stuff and really secure the place, but it's like, I can't fight a team of people. That's not happening. So that argues towards selling the place. You know, it does. It's like an argument for selling the place. I'm going to move my mic back. It's probably a little too close. There we go. Maybe I sell the place because it's just too much upkeep and it's too dangerous for one person to preserve this place. But I'm scared that if I leave the home that I already have and I go and try somewhere else, something bad will happen once I'm there, where I'm like, oh my God, I never should have left this place that I knew. It's like, why would I leave the devil that I know for the devil that I don't know? Because this place I know what needs to happen. I could just sell the fifth wheel, move up to the house, but the house itself it's a crappy double wide that's 30 years old, I think. Yeah, like 30 years old. And I don't know, I think I'd eventually probably have to knock it down. I can't keep living in the double wide forever. It's going to fall apart. So, but I probably could for like 30 years or something. Eventually, I probably just sell the place when I'm like 75. And I just moved down south to Florida and I play video games in a cubicle or whatever. And I go out to the beach and, you know, on Sundays and shit to drink margaritas and, like, you know, look at the sun. I don't know why my life was this fucking crazy. It's not that it's crazy, it's just it like doesn't really make sense. It doesn't really make sense. These choices that I have to make. Do I abandon the well? The well might be worth $20 million by when it's all said and done. And honestly, if shit maintained long enough, I could sell water enough to just buy security for the fucking well. You know, that's probably the first thing I should do. I should sell water. You know, and I don't know. It's just weird. And then use the money to beef into the security around the well and on the property so that they can't just come in. You know, and in that way, I can treat the place like an actual business. And maybe this is how the water company gets started, essentially. But I mean, I want to sell water in the modern age. I think actually, and I don't have any qualms about selling water that falls from the sky. I don't have any qualms about that. The water falls from the sky. It's the Pacific Northwest. It seeps down into the soil. It gets collected in the groundwater, and the groundwater has been tapped to a well. And we live, like, I take showers, and I can drink. I don't drink the water because it's a little, like, it's potable. It's potable water. You can live forever on it. But it's probably not as clean as other water slightly. It's you know, you would need to probably, like, boil it, but it's still water. It's still water. And I think sometimes that would be a way better retirement than selling the place and moving into a crappy spot in some trailer park where there's kids screaming all the fucking time and there's, you know, problems, and maybe you come home and somebody's stolen your computer or something crazy. It's just insane. And, like, you know, and I don't know if that's the, I don't think that's a good reality. I don't think I want to move back to a big city anymore. And I'll tell you, that's a big plot change retcon, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, for me. Because it's like... Oops. Now what happened there? Oh, Control S? Yeah. Oh, what else I needed? I think having the well and the house and just, you know, I could just knock these places down, and I could just move. I could knock these places down. Or no, I don't have any money. That's the problem. I wouldn't be able to do that. That would cost some money. Like, I could knock these places down and just install a brand new fifth wheel when I'm like 75 and just save money till then. You know, just save money very frugally for like 35 years. And at the end of it, I blow, you know, 75 grand on yeah, save like for about 35 years I save like $2,000 a year or something like that, right? Yeah, it's like every month I set aside $150, and yeah, and that would do it, yeah. And then, you know, and after 30 years it's like, you know, it's like 30 or 50 grand or something like that, and I just have them drag a new fifth wheel to my driveway, and I move into that after my double wide gets too crappy to live in. Ooh, what was that? That was the system? Oh yeah, that was the system, yeah. I'm just out, am I? Am I out? Yes, I am out. Oh, it's a Caldari battlefield. Ooh. Looking at the militia chat. Aeronaco battlefield. Gotta go to the battlefield now. Go to the battlefield. Go to the battlefield. Battlefield. Oh, no, it's over. Damn it. Oh, well, I wasn't paying attention at all. Let's go to the scout. Let's go to the scout. Let's go to the scout. I should have been paying attention. Active. I did not come. Oh, well. I think I kind of ran to get that battlefield to open, and then I didn't attend it, which is stupid. But I've got like 5 in the last day, which is like 500 million ISK. I mean, I mean, full blown it is. It's like 350. It's like 350 million ISK, and that's a lot of money for a single day.
Drive active.
Damn it, I missed the battlefield, which is stupid. Oh well.
included spitting into the mouths of a black chicken, a ram, and a pig. She then was able to recruit more people, but these were not people with any military experience. They were just people who had grievances with this new government. So they were like peasants, teachers, students, businessmen, former ministers, women, girls, just pretty much the people who lived in that area that were upset with what was going on, because they were also afraid that there would be this backlash. Like if the Acholi people were benefiting from the regime that was overthrown, then maybe they would just start attacking all Acholi people because they were in the position of privilege before. And so now that the roles have switched, it's like payback. So they were afraid, and they felt like, okay, maybe if we join this army and we stick together, we could protect ourselves. And so she ended up quickly getting a force, they say up to 10 to 15,000. She told them, you don't need anything. All you need is the Holy Spirit. Also, I doubt she was going to get fucking enough gear for 15,000 people. Probably didn't even think that many people would join. Like, I'm guessing she's like, holy shit, like 15,000 people join. Damn. Okay. Like, I have some shea butter, shit, some sticks. How do I make this make sense? Okay. The shea butter is going to make the bullets go off of you. But she's like, fuck, that's not going to work. But only if you're pure of heart. So when they die, it's because they weren't pure of heart. Like, you know what I mean? I totally feel like she was making it up as she went, but that's just me being cynical. Anyway, so they were winning. And so like, this is why a lot of people consider her a freedom fighter, is because she led these people into battle. They did win in the beginning and advance and take over towns and feel like they were getting their country back. Because keep in mind, when she started in northern Uganda. Northern Uganda is Acholi land. These are Acholi people. And they were the ones who were overthrown by the southern Ugandan like ethnic group. And so when she would go to these towns and fight, they would get help from the villagers because these were their fellow Acholi people in the north. It's only until she starts moving towards the south where it seems like the villagers, you know, they're not as helpful, and that really changes the game. If you're fighting for the side that they want to win, you become a freedom fighter. But if you're fighting for the opposite side, you become, you know, a cult leader, a terrorist, or whatever. So it's like the action remains the same. It's just on whose side you're on that, I guess, determines that. But there are some things that can't be denied, because even within her own group, within her own people, in some villages that were in the north with Acholi people, there were some things that were not cool that the villagers were upset about. They say that she was actually pretty cruel and extremely controlling and merciless, even with her own people. But then there are other people who say, actually, no, she had a totally different like code of ethics, and she would tell her soldiers, you're not allowed to loot. You're not allowed to take advantage of the women in the towns that we take over, like other soldiers usually do. There's this sort of code of conduct, but then some people are like, well, yeah, that was on paper, but in reality, they were still doing those things. So again, it's a lot of conflicting information. The villagers, they were not only talking about the fact that their soldiers would steal, but they also were talking about the fact that this was extremely like bizarre. There was this other woman who was saying some weird stuff about how like she only had one boob. And then I was like thinking back to this weird rule she had where you couldn't have one testicle. And I'm like, what is going on with these one, you know, dangly body part thingy that we usually have two of that's happening here? That's a weird thing for me to say, man. That might be the weirdest shit I've ever said. Is it though? I don't know. And you know, it's like ha ha he he, but also not really, because here's the deal. All of these delusions and things about being magical and being protected by these items, that resulted in thousands of people's deaths. So in all seriousness, that's really fucked up. Because imagine you're in such a desperate situation here where you're in this town, that the powers that be somehow benefited you at one point, and now there's a coup, and now you're in the wrong group, and you're being tortured, and then here comes someone who's trying to tell you that this is your only way out, and there's thousands of people who are doing it, and so you're like, okay, shit, what else am I gonna do? So you join, and now you're in a fucking cult, and you're going to war, and you're being told to slather with this and put this and do that, and now you can't even take cover, and then you end up dead.
And she steals
Like,
your money.
that's pretty fucked up.
And then she steals your
Because
money.
I just don't know that if they decided not to join, it would have been just fine. I don't know, I'm speculating here, but there might have been some like major pressure to join or else be seen as on the other side.
If you see Beast with No Nation, you see the whole child warriors of Africa thing, and you begin to understand that out there it's like essentially like an open fiefdom where anybody with some power can take over, and she sounds like all the other fucking weird people that come out of that.
Like you're either with us or
She
against
doesn't sound like that special to me, you know.
us type shit. And so in that
There's a lot of nuts running armies in Uganda exactly like that.
case, it's like, dude, were they coerced and then literally left for dead? I don't know. That's kind of how I think.
And then jacked after they were dead. Yeah.
I don't know. That could be the case, which is very, very fucked up. Like that, we're talking thousands of people. Depressing. Now, at this point, it starts to get traction, like on the news and things. The press started giving her names. They would call her a witch, a voodoo priest, a prophetess, a former prostitute. They even would refer to her as the Ugandan Joan of Arc. Now it is January 1987, and the president of Uganda, okay, Yoweri Museveni, he does this press conference where he essentially mocks Alice, and he starts making fun of her, saying she's nothing but a mystic who has promised bullet immunity via goat sacrifices, and basically like, yeah, whatever, who cares, like she's not really a threat. And her soldiers, they refer to her as Mama Alice. Keep in mind, at this point she's only 27 years old, and she's got this battalion of 15,000 people. She's 50 miles away from the capital. The president of the country knows about her and is talking about her, is being asked about her, and she's marching to the capital with her soldiers. And
I get scared of having a life like this. I get scared that if I speak out and I talk about what my beliefs are about this government and stuff, that they'll vilify. Sorry, they'll either vilify me or they will. What's the word? Elevate me, and I get scared of getting elevated to this, where like 15,000 people suddenly tell you that you've got to lead their revolution, and it's just like, I don't know, man, no.
Even these bees that apparently she could turn to bullets, and these sticks and stones that could become grenades, and it's like, oh my God, is she actually going to do this shit and take over? Well, not really. They stopped at this town called Jinja. Alice promised that when she got there, the Nile River would essentially part, you know, like it did for Moses, and that they would make their final advance that way. And when they got there, the Nile didn't part. Oh no. And the people didn't help. What was there, though, was a very heavily armed government military force attacking them mercilessly to the point where they said that they decimated them with heavy artillery. It was just a spectacular defeat. Alice abandoned her soldiers. She said that the spirit of Lakwena left her, and she ended up fleeing on a bicycle to Kenya. She entered it illegally. She ends up getting arrested, and then eventually they send her to this refugee camp, and she would stay in that refugee camp for the rest of her life. Wow. And she would do interviews from there, and a bunch of crazy shit happened, but she essentially just left everyone and abandoned them, was like, peace out, you know, and just like biked off. As you can imagine, the people who were left behind.
That's kind of what I would do. I was like, nah, fuck it. The revolution was garbage. We couldn't convince anybody to do anything. When it came down to it, it didn't matter what I told them to try to get them to fight. Like, you're invincible or whatever. You can do this. You can fight them or whatever. It didn't matter what I told them. Eventually they just all get greedy and it all falls apart or whatever. Everybody corrupts or whatever, and at that point I just feel like, well, fuck you guys, I'm riding off on a bike into the sunset. Then I'll stay in a homeless encampment or whatever. Fuck you guys then. I don't think I need to die, you know.
Were very upset. They were like, wow, it's like that? Like, wow, you just, like, wow. So she was at this refugee camp known as the Dadaab refugee camp. Now, while she was at this refugee camp, She maintained that she was, you know, a healer. She was like, oh, the spirit left me. I don't do that anymore. She's like, I don't fight wars anymore, but I'm still a healer. Her father tried to take over after her in 1988, but that didn't work. And then they also like reported him to police, and then he got like arrested for running a cult.
They practice a faith or religion that is very suspicious among members of the public, including some neighbors and some of their relatives. So we stopped them and inquired why they did not get permission and why they were conducting that kind of procession.
Her supposed cousin or nephew, you may have heard of this name, Joseph Kony, and the LRA, the Lord's Resistance Army. Have you heard of them?
Yeah.
They're known for being the most brutal child abducting child soldier army that is just unbelievably violent and horrific. And he basically spawned from her movement. Now, Alice sort of distanced herself from him, but a lot of people say that, you know, they are somewhat related, whether he's her cousin or her nephew or something, but they're both Acholi people from the same area, and he ends up taking up her cause afterwards. A lot of the remaining soldiers of the Holy Spirit Mobile Forces who still wanted to fight end up joining Joseph Kony and the LRA.
The seeds of her rebellion grew into the Lord's Resistance Army, commanded by her cousin, Joseph Kony.
He also claimed to be this spirit medium conduit messenger who was related to her and basically tried to piggyback off of her. Now that there was this power vacuum and she had run off, or biked off, shall I say, he was like, okay, all of you who are left who still want to fight, join my army. And then the ones who didn't, or because if he didn't have enough, you know what he did? He started kidnapping children and forced them to join this army. I mean, what he did was so brutal. The statistics on this are insane, okay? They say that 1.8 million people were displaced from this army and the conflict that it created after Alice left. Tens of thousands were killed, and about 20,000 children were abducted and forced to be child soldiers. Okay, the massacres that they're accused of doing, the way they were so brutal. Like they would do sadistic shit, like the mutilations and making the children do just unfathomable stuff. I mean, they make Alice Laquena's army look like freaking Barney and his friends. This happened in 1987, where she fled, and by the 90s, okay, Joseph Kony.
I don't know. I'm almost ready here.
Is now being supported by Sudan of all countries, because they end up giving him refuge because they're mad at Uganda supporting the southern Sudanese rebels, and so they end up supporting Kony because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Someone with insider information spoke to media and said this about the relationship between Joseph Kony and Alice Laquena. They said, Kony has a spirit. It is in a sheep, which leads him around and tells him what to do. When the spirit comes into him, his face changes, his voice changes. It is someone else. You must never look into his eyes. What we are worried about is this. The spirit was in Laquena, and when she crossed the Nile, it went into her father, and then to Kony. If anything happens to Kony, maybe it will leave him and move to someone else in their clan. So while all this is going on with Joseph Kony, back at the refugee camp in Kenya, Alice is continuing to do interviews and make claims.
With me, I'm a prophet. I was treating a lot of people. And by that time, when Museveni took over, they found that I'm called Alice Laquena. And I met the government. By the time I prophet, the spirit prophet to them that if they go in Gulu, Kitgum, Old via Northern and West Nile, they will find no war.
And talk about what's going on. She's also like distancing herself from Joseph Kony as well. So they say that she essentially tried to rewrite her own story. Okay, she said that she actually didn't mean to start this army and get into this whole political situation that it just happened. She was like, they
I believe
came to
her.
her and were like, please lead us. She didn't
I
try
think
to recruit
oh,
people or
no,
anything
no,
like
that's
that.
a
In
lie.
2004, the Ugandan government, they actually asked for her to come back because the situation with Joseph Kony was so bad. They're like, hey, it might be better if these people go back to Alice because she wasn't nearly as
So I'm sorry, guys. I'm not feeling so well, and I think I'm gonna go lie down for just a couple of hours. And it's unfortunate, but I don't feel so well. I had some Taco Bell, and I wonder maybe if, like, you know, I just have some gas or something. I don't know what it is, but like I'm not like feeling so hot after eating crappy like $2 you know, cheesy bean and rice burritos, and I'm just gonna go lie down for a little bit. I'm sorry, I don't feel so well. I will see you guys in a bit. I'll be back in a couple of hours. I've got the rest of the evening. Happy St. Patrick's Day, by the way. I don't know if I'm going to be doing any drinking today yet. It's kind of early, but we'll find out. And, but yeah, I'm going to go lie down. I'm sorry. I don't feel so well. I love you guys. Going to take a small pause here. I'll be back in just a couple of hours.